I'm Jeremiah Dockeray. I'm one of the members of the mouthful that is Citizens for Chiquita Canyon Landfill Compliance. We had kind of a visual presentation tonight. Our technology is not mixing well with you all's technology, so we're going to have to skip that and just go with the beautiful prose that we're going to spout to you tonight. So just wanted to go over a few things. Thank you, first of all, for inviting us to talk about the issue tonight. We wanted to reach out to other parts of the Santa Clarita Valley. We started as a small group in the community of Verde, which is west of the 5 and just north of the 126, about 4 miles west of the 5 there. Chiquita Canyon Landfill is about 3 miles west of the 5 as well, right off the 126 north of the 126. The Chiquita Canyon Landfill at this point is permitted to take in 6,000 tons a day of garbage. They are at, I believe, 257 acres of landfill space as of right now. And we're scheduled to close November 24th, 2019, or at, I believe, 23 million tons of intake. They are getting close to that, so they have applied for another conditional use permit to expand the landfill. They want to expand to about 12,000 tons a day, which is double the amount they can take in. Expand the acreage to 400 acres, not quite double, and raise the elevation of the pile of garbage 133 feet in elevation, and expand the life of the landfill from 21 to 38 years, depending on how fast it gets filled up. So that's just kind of the rough things. You can see a lot of all this stuff on our website, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. So we've had a lot of problems in the community of Verde. It's been kind of framed as an issue that only affects Verde, or it's only imagined by Verde. So we wanted to reach out to others and let you know about the things that are affecting us and will possibly affect you in the future. We have a lot of people along one edge of our community that have ear, nose, and throat irritation. They have symptoms of like methane exposure, things like that. It's not entirely throughout the whole community, but it is definitely something that kind of wafts through the area. A lot of really smelly things often. We have some people who complain that they're not even able to open their windows at night when they want it to be nice and cool in the summertime. We have, I know a family that has rearranged their entire sleep schedule around when it's smelly and not smelly, so they won't have to smell it. They go to bed at midnight and get up at noon. And this is with young children, many young children actually, under the age of 10. We have recently had they got a violation for a smell violation. It was the 20th of December, right before Christmas. We called it our Green Christmas because their green waste cover was what was causing the smell, and we got a definite violation that day. In addition to the proximity to many schools in the area, the expanded landfill, I'll just stop for, okay. The expansion of the landfill is going to be moving mostly westward and a little bit north of where it currently lies, heading towards the Valencia little business park that's right off the 5 and the 126 that you'll see when you go by there. As it is, the post office that's there, the back of that will be butting up pretty much at the lowest point of the natural barrier of the landfill. You're able to see and smell right in there. We're worried about the effects that it's going to have on the workers there, the businesses there. In addition to our own community, the prevailing winds map shows wind heading right into the general Santa Clarita Valley area. Air pollution doesn't really know any borders, so it's going to be heading this direction. And this is at the current size, mind you. In 2012, they had a violation for taking in sludge, which they were not permitted to do. They got I believe, a strongly worded letter about that. And so this is all before the doubling of the size. So if it goes into double the size, we're going to have it less than a half mile from the post office, 1 mile from SCVI Charter School, the Verde Daycare, and Live Oak Elementary, which are in that area. The groundwater could possibly be in more danger than it is currently, with double the size. And there are certain wells that are nearby. There's one well within a half-mile of the landfill. I wish I had the map I could show you, but it's within about a half-mile of the landfill and is providing about 80 to 90% of the water for the greater Castaic area. And that is what they rely on. If that gets poisoned or broken or contaminated, then a lot of people are going to be without water. Also, the IAC Business Park, which broke ground, I believe, mid last year, is a half-mile away from the landfill as well, which is going to be creating thousands of new jobs and many, many more acres of business space as well, which is just north, in between Verde and Castaic, kind of sandwiched in there. So implications for the greater SCV. I know you're like, why is this guy from Verde all the way on the other side of the place, like talking about it way over here? Air quality, like I've mentioned before, there's going to be a lot more trucks heading through up and down the 5. Most of the trash that goes to this landfill does not come from the SCV. I believe the last estimate I read was about 18% of the garbage from here goes to there. So a lot of it's being trucked down from as far away as Disneyland and other places, like a little bit in Orange County and a little bit all up through there, and they're coming back and forth through there. The traffic report that they did for their draft environmental impact report has 3,490 one-way trips is what they counted to calculate their air quality. This is not counting 1,200 extra vehicles for other things such as inbound special materials like green waste and other things, outbound trips, special projects, and employees. And their DEIR only calculates air quality for the 6-mile round trip off of the 5. Doesn't count any of the long distance on the Interstate 5 that any trucks would be traveling to bring garbage as well. So you're going to be dealing with a lot of that traffic and air quality, which have not been accurately measured, I believe, in the DEIR. So that's kind of a general overview of like what we see going on. How you all can help, we just ask that you would talk to your representatives, send a letter to your representatives, talk to the Santa Clarita City Council. We were before the Santa Clarita City Council a couple of weeks ago as well, talking about this issue. Some of them do not believe that it's actually an issue for the Santa Clarita City and are willing to kind of let that slide by. But we are asking that you would go to also send letters to your representatives about having the Board of Supervisors, LA County Board of Supervisors, have a hearing, a public hearing, before the environmental impact report is out of the draft phase, which is in right now. We're asking that everybody would pressure the Board of Supervisors and others that can help make a difference to having a public hearing where more people will be able to talk about their concerns with the landfill, with the public commissioners present, because they were planning on doing this without them present. They gave us a hearing on July 31st with none of the commissioners there. They were not willing. They were told they would read the transcripts of what we said at that meeting. And so we are hoping to get that in front of some actual ears. And we also, since I don't have my fancy map, I will show you my fancy homemade graphic for our website, C4CCLC.org. That is Citizens for Chiquita Canyon Landfill Compliance. If you check out that website, we have documents that you could download, the DEIR. You can download any of the other violations that we found. We have a lot of different documents that you can look at. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Steve Lee, who is a member of our group, as well as the Val Verde Civic Association. Sorry, there's a lot of alphabet soup going on. So thank you very much.
Okay. Well, thank you. Our board, actually, we passed out flyers along with the landfill. The landfill passed out flyers, save our dump, and they put our name on it. So it looked like we were fighting for it. But our flyers said, this is the money you will give up, and we did both sides of the argument, and our town showed up. 118 people voted, and 118 people voted no on the expansion. 118. We're going to be giving up maybe $900,000 a year. But that's how much it means to us. 19 years ago, we had this fight. We lost. Our town finally settled, and we signed an agreement. The agreement we signed with the landfill at that time, new condition number 46, the maximum total capacity of the landfill shall be 23 million tons. Landfill closure shall occur when this capacity is reached on or by November 24, 2019, whichever occurs first. 9G goes on, nothing in this condition shall permit the maximum landfill capacity of 23 million tons to be increased. But that's not the only contract. The landfill made a contract with the county. This is where it gets tricky. 9C with the county. Nothing in this condition or elsewhere in these conditions shall be construed to prohibit the permittee from applying for new permits to expand the landfill or to otherwise modify the conditions of this grant. And then they stapled ours to that. When does another organization outweigh a contract with the people affected? Now they're saying, you knew you were moving next to a landfill when you moved in. Most people bought on a promise that was never meant to be kept. The landfill is a Class 3 landfill, which means they are not supposed to be taking anything that can be construed as dangerous to the health and welfare of the people who live nearby. With much research, we have found sludge with arsenic, too dangerous for Ventura to take, so we took it. Radioactive dirt from Rocketdyne. Since it was not clean enough for Sylmar, we took it. Hazardous material from an auto shredding company. A fine was paid for that one. The reply from Cheetah Canyon was, we were totally blindsided. Were they? Based on what they are still taking, I don't think so. They have taken Malibu's cancer-causing dirt, which was big on the news, #1 story every night there for a while, and LA's USD's contaminated soil, also we took it. And we could use it for topsoil. So not only do we get in the wind, it blows this way. The wells have PCPs and other chemicals that are not supposed to be in the landfill. Trucks come from Sacramento and well past Victorville. These trucks pass many landfills on the way here. The other landfill won't take it. We will. The list goes on. Some say, well, there are strict regulations. Regulations only have to be followed when a government official is present. And if by chance you get caught on the rare occasion that a government official is there, then just pay the fine and say, we were totally blindsided. When all these violations were brought to the representative of the landfill at our BBCA meeting, he said, get used to it. It's in our new application. We're applying to take all those things. Our town is 900 feet from the landfill. New housing has 23,000 houses coming in across the street, less than a football field away. In the earthquake, the liners failed. The liners failed. Do you think the river's not going to be contaminated? Let me find my spot. If they are permitted the expansion, there will be 400 trucks per hour, 24 hours a day. That's what they're applying for now. We do not have the infrastructure to support this kind of traffic. The draft EIR says that they will not be allowed to idle more than 3 minutes. And I did not catch this when I did my reply, and my reply is 144 pages. There's 1,200 pages that the landfill is now working on that we replied. When it comes back to us, we will have 10 days to reply. They're going to take 1.5 years. We'll have 10 days. I'm sorry. Okay, so the idling 3 minutes. I got to thinking about this. Here I am idling. I moved. I'm idling again now, 3 minutes. I moved. I'm idling again. It could take 1.5 hours to get to that landfill. You never idled for more than 3 minutes. All that smog and all that exhaust from a study in Irvine, and now he's working at New York University, says it will be 100% what EPA allows. 100%. That's our kids in those school districts. The board is asking you also to write letters to the commissioners. Say, hey, let us have a fair hearing. We got to have our hearing in front of a tape recorder. And Tonovich's spokesman came out and said, well, We don't like to show up for the people because if we listen to them, it could sway our decision. Money sways your decision. The people don't, we voted you in. So we're asking you guys to write letters. Hey, help us sway the decision. Give us a hearing in front of a live commissioner. Believe it or not, a live commissioner shows up for a liquor license. They have to. But they don't show up for the residents of Val Verde or for Santa Cruz Valley. Thank you. Thank you. Jeremiah, you're get for questions. Hey, Jeremiah.
Hi, it's Stacy Fortner again. I was wondering if you could talk through the process of what it is to actually get a complaint filed and recorded. Could you please talk me through that process?
How long is this meeting?
Well, Stacy, first of all, Sunshine, they get all the complaints, so they're always at Sunshine. We may never get them out. It takes 6 calls within 24 hours for them to come out. Sometimes they don't come out for 6 or 7 hours. The one violation, they came out about 6 hours later. The smell was so offensive, it was still there. So when you see in the paper, oh, they never smell it, you should put those people in jail, you know, because they're always calling fraudulently. It takes 6 hours for them to come out. And sometimes not at all, because they're at Sunshine.
And they have to take, within those 6 calls, they'll have to go to the 6 places where the calls were made, verify the smell in all 6 places, and then also go to the landfill and verify that the smell is also what they smelled at all the other 6 places. So I don't know if you all know how air works, but wind kind of moves things around pretty quickly sometimes. So it's really hard of a process that is stacked against the citizens being able to even get our complaints heard or recorded.
So what instrument are they using to measure these offensive odors?
Noses?
Just noses. They come out with their noses.
I think a clipboard and a nose.
Yeah, and they and actually when he verified the violation when he came to my property and I'm filling out the paperwork, I honestly go, I'm going to be calling you in about 2 minutes. You're going to be around? He goes, I've already verified it. And that was when I was filling out that one, because it is a constant. It's very deceiving when we moved in. When I pass the landfill, I drive for 2.5 miles. I am less than a mile away from the landfill because you go past it. And then you curve in, you wind around, and you don't realize the landfill's there. And when I bought my house, they didn't send me that way. They sent me up past the canyon, which is something else.
Isn't it true that there currently are 2 or 3 schools in close proximity to this proposed expansion and plans for additional schools to be built nearby?
Yes. You're right. Sorry, that was in my visual presentation, but I forgot to mention that as well. Yes, in the Newhall Ranch Landmark, I believe, development, there are many houses and schools being prepared to be built across the street, kind of a little bit downhill from where the landfill is, including an elementary school, which will be, we measured on the map, about 400 feet away from where the current entrance is. The current entrance will be covered and made a little bit more hidden to make more room for trucks to come in and stuff like that. But if you also are heading on the 126 east past the landfill, you'll notice that there's a big bump right in front of it, which was where in the big Northridge quake, the road actually cracked and made a really large split. So you can still feel effects on your shocks every time you go past that area. And I just kind of shudder to think what happens when another big earthquake happens and we have other problems, with a double-sized landfill. Well,
the other thing about the schools being so close, I actually knocked on every door in Lincoln, and I met the people. There are people that pass out.
This is Lincoln Street.
This is the street that's closest. It's called the President's Neighborhood. There's a guy that actually, and he shakes, and he goes, forgive me, what were we talking about? I've been diagnosed with early Alzheimer's. And I thought to myself, really? Because it might not be that. Everybody in Val Verde, and I mean most of us, were going, what were we talking about? Even here, I was lost in my speech a few times. I wasn't this way a year ago. I wasn't this way I moved there 2.5 years ago. But slowly, and now my partner, same thing. What were we talking about? And there's in my neighborhood, and I live, the 2.5 mile drive, but less than a mile. I met a 31-year-old kid, Latino, because it's very hard to get Latinos to stand up for themselves, but they're there. They signed. He's passing out, and the doctors don't know why. That's 2 I know now. There's an entire woman who went before the CAC board, and she goes, you know, I'm a mother of 3 kids, and my husband and me and my kids, we're exhausted. We're exhausted. And the board that was supposed to represent us or point us in the right direction said, why are you telling us this? We're not doctors. Go see a doctor. So we're fighting a power so much greater than ours. Anybody who helps us is a friend at this time.
Oh, I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
What elected officials have you contacted, and what did they say?
Well, we've spoken in front of the Board of Supervisors a couple of times, not all of us personally, but representatives of our group. And we have no true group structure. Like, we don't have a president. I'm not the secretary. You know, we don't have any of that. We are just people that are concerned about this, so just so you know that. We've spoken to the Board of Supervisors. We've gone to our own Civic Association. We've gone to the Castaic Area Town Council. We've gone to the Santa Clarita City Council. We are working on several other avenues, but basically the decision makers are the LA County Department of Regional Planning and the commissioners on board that are making the final decision. So since we're in an unincorporated area, that is who will be making the decision. But it does not mean that you cannot talk to people that are elected in this area to put pressure on this as well, because this will affect you just as much as it's going to affect us. So.
When we went to Castaic, because they got $230,000 a year to accept this agreement, and they're not the most affected, they told us we weren't smart enough to know the difference between a landfill and a septic tank. So what we did is, after they did their little vote to accept the money, we knocked on doors in their communities, and all we did was show them who voted for what, and they got voted out. So now it has a new board as of tonight, and we'll see what happens there.
I wanted to actually address the fact that recently I've been reading a lot of blogs and a lot of newspapers and such, and there's been numerous name calling. Verde has been accused of being too stupid to be able to, yes, I know, the village idiot is before you all, folks, too stupid to be able to know something good for you, so take the money, shut up, etc., blah, blah, blah. Mr. Lee, would you mind telling us what your education is?
I have an AA from San Joaquin Delta College in Humanities. My BA is from Cal State Northridge in Theater Arts. And my master's is in education from University of Phoenix.
Masters. Okay, I just wanted to verify that.
Well, they had low standards.
Okay.
You know. So, but as of last week, the article that came out last week, I am now as worse than a terrorist in France.
I missed
because
that
this
one.
is what I do.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming tonight, because at one time I was the only one yelling about this.
Thank you, SCV TV News. Thank you.
Started with SCV News TV.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Leon handed me a little thing about the landfill, and it just smelled, literally. And I drove out. I can't believe how the community has finally come together. I don't have to write anything about Chiquita anymore. They're doing it, but I will anyway. But it's how gratifying that this little blogger, well, 6'1", 240-pound blogger, was able to get more people on board. And not only in your community, but people from throughout our valley. This is a valley-wide problem, just like Civic is a canyon country problem that the whole valley wants to help you with. So it's just very gratifying. I've been out there. I've seen the Chiquita two-step, how they paid the Castaic Area Town Council. And let me tell you, folks, you don't want a town council. You want something like this advisory board, like the city and you folks are working. This is a working organization. Town councils are useless. They had 150 votes for 19,000 people. That's how they got elected. But Chiquita has paid off politicians, paid off organizations. They have put literally thousands of dollars in boys and girls clubs and all kinds of things, and it will all stop just as soon as this is approved. They did it 19 years ago, and they're doing it again. So they're doing the Chiquita two-step once again. Thank you.
Today I went online just to see how far people live from Rocketdyne. And the article I came across, people 6 miles away, 9 people in 10 houses have cancer. 6 miles away. But we're the first ones on the list to take their dirt, but it's safe. It has to come in a special truck, but it's safe.
So I can't imagine that anybody would be publicly in support of something like this. So I've been reading lately that there have been
School board members, public figures,
people that are actually writing support letters for Chiquita expansion, and it just blows my mind. Did either of you bring a list of the people that were in support of that?
You know, I don't have the list in front of me, but at our website, again, there is a list of that, and there are actually more coming. We actually have come across some more support letters, just so that you know what community members have been a part of the support for the Chiquita Canyon landfill. So I just urge you to check out the website. We have all of our documents are, downloadable. We also have flyers and things, info sheets that you can use to hand out to neighbors, hang up in public places, and that kind of thing to help get the word out. Yeah, but there are many.
Who wrote them?
I'm sorry?
Who wrote the letters?
Well,
they're all the same letter.
Well, there's a lot of people that have written the same letter, more or less, kind of a form letter, which is not totally uncommon. We've had, honestly, the names are escaping me right now, but we have people that are on the Saugus Union School District, I believe. We have people that run cancer charities. We have,
There they are.
There's some.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, a lot of the chambers of commerce, which isn't totally surprising, are into this. West Ranch Town Council.
But I heard a rumor that nothing was ever printed in Spanish, so a lot of the Latino community doesn't even know,
Right.
but yet their chamber of commerce is
Yeah, we've had
supporting it.
quite a back and forth. That was actually our reason for the first visit to the Board of Supervisors, was the Spanish issue, because we felt that the whole permitting process should start over again, because 58% of Verde is Spanish-speaking in the home, and we feel that they need to know what's happening as well. I mean, we've done as much outreach as we can do. We're trying to get people involved, but not all of us speak Spanish. There are a few of us that do, but there's a large component of the area that doesn't even know this is happening, and they have not translated any of the documents into Spanish, which has been ruled that is not illegal. We have pushed on that, but we do not believe it's just.
Yeah, to be fair, one of the letters that actually she wrote herself, she kind of works in landfills, and we were on a blog with her, and it was kind of heated, and she was defending her decision, and she said, well, the paperwork they sent me was amazing. Have you been to the site? Well, no, I haven't. And then we started talking about the smells. By the time that we were done the blog, she goes, if you can smell it, it's not being run correctly. I think her name was Maria, or
Maria Gutze?
Yeah, I think so. And so, but she said, "Hey, if you can smell it, I've never really been there, but it looked amazing on paper."
Yeah.
More concerned about what you can't smell.
I am too, because one of the people that they use, and I think it's called Ousters or something like that, they use them. When I brought up their exact quote at my BBCA meeting, the representative for the landfill and the person that was supposed to represent us for the CAC jumped up and called me fearmonger, wild accusations, and they're yelling it. And all I said was, if you can smell the landfill, and it's their quote, it's a government quote, if you can smell the landfill, you're getting the chemicals and the gases. And when you go to the draft DEIR, they're using their same exact quotes, but the ones, of course, that are for their support.
Dan.
At that time, that was Vanessa Berkman. She's no longer with the board, but she was supposed to represent us, but she was a personal friend of the representative. Oh, the representative is Johnny Masella. And then the person that was put on the board was a personal friend of John Macella's. And therefore, the entire board was stacked against Val Verde at that time. We honestly, when we went there, we were belittled. And we went back, and we went back, and we went back. Now the board leans more our way because you have to hold the landfill accountable.
Question from back here. I understand the County of Los Angeles receives revenue from the landfill. I think it's called a tipping fee. How much per ton does the County of Los Angeles receive?
I believe it's $7 or up to $9.
Yeah,
It's a lot of money.
it's a fair amount of money for, you know.
Yeah, so we are fighting the giant.
So that suggests why the county would be in favor of expanding the landfill, but it can take more trash and they get more revenue.
Yeah. On the other side, there's articles about, well, if you close the landfill, you'll pay $100 for trash. And I think, well, I'll pay $100 less for medication and kind of even out. For me.
Yes.
Hi, I wanted to ask, have you guys done like soil, and water,
That's a good question.
and found an attorney?
Attorneys are funny. They want money. But the
Not
soil's a fantastic question because the best place to do it is on Newhall Land
Personal
and Farm.
injury.
The best place to do it is on Newhall Land and Farm where those 23,000 houses are coming in. Who used to own the landfill? Newhall Land and Farm. Who do you think's not going to let us do soil tests? Newhall Land and Farm.
No,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're local. Why can't you do it yourself?
So, we've discussed that a lot, actually, trying to figure out air quality, soil, water, anything that we can do to just, because a lot of people are like, well, where's your proof beyond just, smelling things and feeling nauseous? All of these tests are very expensive. Our community is not, despite some master's degrees and whatnot, not very rich. And we do receive a lot of money from the landfill for our community, but there are stipulations which go against us using them for any sort of, lawyers or anything that may besmirch the good name of the landfill. So we are also not allowed to use any of them for health care or anything that might arise from any side effects from the landfill. So
How about personal fundraising? Do fundraising to
We have not gotten that far yet. We were looking at all of our avenues as far as like what people have been willing to work with us. We haven't gone and done anything official yet, but that is something that we have a couple of irons in the fire, as well as lawyers.
We're applying for grants, but as a person who actually knocked on the doors, I get to families where they're actually renting the living room. And they're renting the living room of a house, and there's 4 of them. So where the money's going to come from, I don't know. The landfill's there because it is the poorest community. It's gotten a little better off, but it's still the poorest community. They're not there because it's Beverly Hills.
It's unconscionable.
Go. One more back there.
By any chance, have you? Okay. By any chance, have you contacted any of the television stations?
Begged.
Investigative report? No.
Begged. LA Times, no. We actually, she's not here now, but we had an interview with just the college station. And they only aired 5 minutes of it, and then they called and said, your interview was amazing, but the people who sponsor us do not want us to run anymore. Who do you think sponsors them? No, the landfill. So guess what? There are no avenues. You can buy anything. You pay for an ad, and we're not going to get represented.
Yeah, it's been a very big push for us to try to get bigger outlets to pick it up, but we haven't had any huge traction on that yet. But we are making strides with certain people, and we're hoping to blow that up a little bit more. And a lot of times this kind of issue isn't really what some would say sexy. So it's kind of hard to get a sustained presence to really analyze what's going on here. I mean, Verde originally was a pre-civil rights community where most of the black people that couldn't go party in Palm Springs would go hang out. So historically, it's been a population that has been underserved, and I think it's continuing to be oppressed by outside forces. So I think we're running low on time. We don't want to take over the entire meeting, but one more question, or?
No, what I was going to say is, my name's Rick Drew. I'm the president of the board of directors of the CCAC. And Al does a wonderful job representing us before the city council. So I would like to make a motion right now that the CCAC propose the Chiquita landfill expansion favor, raise your hand. Anybody opposed?
Chiquita County Landfill.
One opposed? It passes. So,
Thank
motion
you.
carries. Next
Thank you, sir.
council meeting, please speak for us, Al.